what's gonna be. You're gonna give your look to me. You're the man of cavalry. Another day I'm gonna feel.
Good night, God bless, and thank you so much.
Now, there is this saying, and that is, you don't often miss something until it's gone. And that couldn't be further from the truth with today's story and the grave of a famous person. And today, my friends, we're here in Liverpool to visit the grave of one Frederick Leslie Fowle, also known as Freddie Starr. Unfortunately, we've arrived in Liverpool on probably one of the wettest weekends that we could have picked. It's just been torrential since the early hours of this morning, and myself and Vicky, we arrived here round about tea time-ish, 5-6 o'clock-ish yesterday afternoon. It was all right then, but now, as you can see, I think the GoPro will probably pick it up, but the weather is absolutely horrendous. So we do apologise if at times the sound may be contaminated with the rain hitting the microphone, but we will try our very best. Born on the 9th of January 1943 to parents Hilda and Richard, young Frederick was just one of 7 children. Now his father, Richard, he was a bare knuckle fighter from what we've been reading. And during Freddie's early upbringing, life was pretty rough. I think he was barely 6 years old, and his father was quite abusive to him. And there was one incident when young Freddie would have both of his legs broken. Now, Freddie himself was taken into care in and around that period for 2 years. And again, from the notes that we've brought with us and the stories we've read, Fred would also stop speaking for 2 years. Now, when his father, Richard, passed away, and despite all the rough upbringing that he had at that point in life, this absolutely devastated Fred. He couldn't get over the fact that his father had gone. Now, it was in his early teens when Frederick himself, he would start to hit the local pubs and clubs, and this was with the full support of his mother. In 1958, Frederick Fowle would star in a movie called Violence Playground. And the reason why I said Frederick Fowle is because he used his actual birth name. In 1961, Freddie, he would start to get into the music scene a lot more. And later on in his short-lived career as a singer, he would join or become the lead singer of a band called the Midnighters, where he would be involved with 3 singles. But fascinatingly, they were produced by a certain Joe Meek. Now, we have covered the life of Joe Meek in a previous video, and as many of you guys may be aware, Joe Meek was obviously the man behind the famous hit Telstar, as well as Johnny Remember Me, and I'll put links down below to that video we did. But that was such an interesting little tidbit of information that we came across when researching the life of Freddie Starr, and that Joe Meek was obviously behind the 3 singles. Okay, they may not have been hits, but he was certainly behind the 3 singles that Freddie Starr sang with the Midnighters.
Who's been running around and telling our tales on me? If I find him, I promise you, he'll end in misery. Well, let me tell you, baby, I'm gonna come back to you. So you can
It was in March 1974, and going back to his singing, because Freddie had a terrific singing voice. And in March 1974, he had a top 10 single called It's You. And again, if we're allowed to, I'll try and put little snippets of some of his songs in this video. So even though we, well, myself, when I say we, myself mainly, I always associate Freddie with being such a funny comedian. And like I said, on the Des O'Connor show, the Royal Variety Performance, you know, the Princess Trust or the Princess Galas, you know, shows like that, opportunity knocks when he first came to the light of many, many people. But it's his wackiness, it's his unpredictability. It's just the way he kind of came on. And his performances were always, like I said, they were varied in somewhat, in that you never knew what he was going to do and how he was going to do it. And I think this is what his humour was all about. You kind of got the feeling a lot of it was ad-libbed at the time, wasn't planned. Now, I'm sure a lot of his material was planned and thought out, but it's just the way he showed that on screen. And I think that's what made him all the more unique and funny. It felt like it wasn't forced, it wasn't scripted. And if something went wrong, or he made it look like it had gone wrong, you laughed with him, not at him. And I think that is what made him such a true comic genius, in my eyes anyway. The fact that you actually laughed with him and not at him. Now, as I have a walk around this cemetery we're currently in, the one thing that we aren't going to do in this video is actually disclose the cemetery where we're at. All I can say is we are in Liverpool. The family, over the years since Freddie's death, I've always politely asked people never to give the location of Freddie Starr's burial away. So we've watched many other videos similar to what we're doing today, and we're going to follow suit and we're going to respect the wishes of Freddie Starr's family. And we are just going to take you guys to his grave, but without disclosing where we are currently at. Now, this is the final resting place of Freddie Starr, and it's here where he is laid to rest with both his father and his mother, Richard and Hilda. And you will notice that Freddie's name is not anywhere on this headstone. Again, we can only ask questions as to why Frederick, or Freddie to his many legions of fans, why his name isn't on the headstone. But obviously we respect the family's wishes. And like I said during the video, they do ask people never to disclose which cemetery, which graveyard Freddie Starr himself is interred in. It is easy to find. Myself and Vicky, we found it within 10 minutes.
It's documented.
It is documented. It's no secret, but we're not going to reveal it here on camera. I know that might annoy some people, but we are just going to be respectful of the family's wishes. But this indeed is the final resting place of the great entertainer Freddie Starr.
Also known as what? Freddie Leslie Fowell.
And his birth name was Frederick Leslie Fowell, and as you can see, the surname Fowell is prominent here on the headstone for his father, Richard Ernest Fowell, who died 19th November 1960, aged 49 years, and Hilda May Bradford, formerly Fowell, she died 29th of November 1992, aged 75 years. So we're really pleased we have found the location of Freddie Starr. It has been one of Vicky's little quests to do. She's always asked, can we come here and pay our respects to Freddie Starr, because Vicky used to be a bit of a fan, didn't you, somewhat, when we were kids. Obviously we were only young at the time when he was at his heyday of his career.
He was always on telly, wasn't he?
But he was always on telly, like Vicky's saying, and obviously And this will be the third time I've said it on the video, but you don't really miss something till it's gone. And that's the only way I can explain Freddie Starr. And I'll try not to say that phrase anymore in this video, but it's true.
Well,
you know,
you've been reminiscing through the videos recently.
Yeah, we've been watching, haven't we? All this week, these last couple of weeks, we've been looking at old footage on YouTube of Freddie Starr and on the TV, you know, chatting with Muhammad Ali, and obviously he's on the Des O'Connor show, the Freddie Starr Show, you know, live in stage performances, singing when he's really young, like I said, with Joe Meeks on the Midnighters. Really, really talented and an extremely funny man.
But it's how you literally click your finger and he can just change into them people.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the camera's picking Vicky up, to be honest, because of the weather, but Vicky's just saying, you know, like, especially with Des O'Connor, how he'd do the same sketch over and over, you know, many shows, but it was funny every time. But it would also, you know, like, Des O'Connor said, you know, from all the famous guests I could have got on the show, and you'd hear Freddie Starr going, ooh, 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 go on, ooh, you know, like that. And I'll put clips over if we don't get copyrighted. And Des O'Connor said, well, we could have had Tom Jones. He'd go straight to Tom Jones, like Vicky said, a snap of a finger. Gene Pitney, you know, Mick Jagger. He'd do all these characters instantly, and he'd do them so well.
To introduce you to one of the world's great international singers, ladies and gentlemen. A gentleman who is, without a doubt, one of the world's leading sex symbols when it comes to song. A man I know you're going to enjoy. A man who's got talent. A man who's got style. A man who's got personality.
Thanks, Des.
It's not you.
That was good, that.
Fred.
That was good, that was very good, that. When you said that introduction, that was good, that was
Freddie,
good.
it's not you.
What isn't?
That introduction's not for you, it's for him.
Who's him?
Him, one of the world's great entertainers.
I'm here.
Him!
Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh.
Tom Jones, that's who.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
When I think
Yes, think, go on.
when I think of all the great stars that queue up.
Ooh, ooh, go on, ooh, ooh.
Queue up to get on this show.
Ooh.
People like Gene Pitney.
Gene
Pitney.
Darling, I had to wait to see that it won't be wrong anymore. There's something happened to me when I was driving home and I couldn't see anymore. Cause I was homie, 24 hours of tough time. Baby, one day we find your heart. I hate to do this to you. I know somebody new. What could I do?
Now, out of all the famous celebrities we could have come and visited, and I've just got Freddie in my head going, ooh, 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 go on, say ooh, ooh, ooh. But all the famous celebrities who, oh, Vicky's laughing at me now, but all the famous celebrities who we couldn't come and visited here in Liverpool, because Liverpool, it's so historic with the many people here. I mean, another one that comes to my mind straight away is that of Cilla Black. Famous celebrity here in Liverpool, and obviously there's many more, and I'm not going to go into them now, but Freddie is the one. Vicky especially has wanted to come and see, and like I said, we're not going to give the location away, but it's there, and it does stand out even from where we stood now. You can see the red flowers on the headstone itself, but that is most certainly the final resting place of the famous Freddie Starr, and like I said, his name isn't on the headstone for reasons probably only known to the family, and we respect those reasons, whatever they are. It's a shame because I think a lot of people, what would you say, Vic? I think a lot of people would love to know where he is and come here, pay the respects. I don't think anybody do anything nasty to vandalise the grave or anything like that, if that's what the family's worried about, because he was such a well-loved character back in the heyday. Now, it was obviously, well, when I say obviously, it's not obvious, I suppose, but it was in the 90s for certain when I would probably say Freddie was at his peak. He had his own TV show, the Freddie Starr Show. I think that ran from 96 to 1998, and then he had an audience with, obviously, himself, Freddie Starr, and he had two of those shows, one in 1996 and one in 1997. Now, we touched upon it earlier, but it's when he was with Des O'Connor. I mean, them are the shows I remember fondly, because Des O'Connor himself would always be crying with laughter. And this is what I mean about a lot of Freddie's material always seemed to come across as ad-libbed, instinctive, not scripted. And it's just how the chemistry between Des O'Connor and Freddie Starr came across on TV, which I always found not only fascinating but so unique and so heartwarming to see. Both of them crying with laughter every time they worked together. Obviously, this video that we're putting together today, it wouldn't be right unless we mentioned the famous newspaper headline that the Sun printed. I think it was around about March 1986. Freddie Starr ate my hamster. Now, this headline was quite sensationalist at the time. And the man behind that was a certain Max Clifford, the famous publicist at the time. He was the publicist to all the stars back in the 80s and 90s. And this one headline, Freddie Starr ate my hamster, well, it came from a story that Freddie himself had just done a live performance over in Manchester, and he was staying with one of his friends. Now, when he got home in the early hours or late hours of that night or early hours of the following morning, he was hungry, and he asked the girlfriend of his friend to make him a sandwich, which she would decline. The story goes that Freddie apparently took her pet hamster out of its cage, put it in between two slices of bread and began to nibble at it, eat the hamster. Now, Freddie throughout his career obviously would always be pulled up on this headline, and he would always say it was always fabricated. Of course he didn't eat the hamster. Max Clifford himself would also later come out and say he did it just as a joke. Now, Freddie, in his autobiography, he would actually go on to say that that stigma, it stuck with him all his life after that. And I'm not going to say Freddie kind of mourned about that stigma, but he most certainly got to the point where he got agitated by it, because he says in his autobiography that if he got £1 for every single time somebody said, you know, oh, Freddie, did you enjoy the hamster, or they made a joke about the hamster, he'd be a multi-millionaire. But the articles that we have read, that myself and Vicky have researched, a lot of articles do say that Freddie himself didn't do too badly out of this one sensationalist article. At the time, he was doing live shows and tickets were selling very, very slowly. But this one headline actually brought him in 12 more shows and tickets began to sell quite rapidly. It is also rumoured or reported that Freddie Starr himself may well have earned over £1 million more because of that one headline. Now, we don't know how true that is. We don't know again if that's just been fabricated. But you could argue and say that Freddie was always reminded and remembered because of that article. And it kind of pushed him out further into the public limelight.
Did you eat anybody's hamster?
No, but it's good publicity. I think the Sun didn't realise.
Now, during Freddie's own personal life, he would be married 4 times. Some could argue and say, well, it was 5, because one of his marriages, even though he did get divorced, he reconciled with that lady. Now, obviously, 4 marriages, there was obviously some kind of issues going on because, like I said, he would get divorced, remarry, divorce, remarry. That's just life. That's nothing uncommon. This happens. Unfortunately and sadly, and we said right at the start, we weren't going to talk too negatively about Freddie Starr and, you know, some of the personal problems he had behind the scenes. But I suppose in a way we do have to touch upon one or two, simply because nobody's life is perfect, and Freddie's himself wasn't perfect. Everybody loved the man who didn't know him. So fans, people like myself, people like Vicky, people like you guys perhaps watching this video, we all loved him for who we saw on TV. But behind the scenes and his personal life, there were a couple of instances which would make the news. And there was one that involved a gardener who tried to blackmail him. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of that because it's quite graphic in nature, and I don't want to go down that route with this video. If you want to look it up, by all means, look up Freddie Starr's personal life and you'll find it online. Now, the gardener himself, he was found guilty of blackmailing Freddie Starr. And like I said, I'm not going to get into it. I was just about to go into it then a little bit, but no, I'm not. Like I said, it's quite explicit, so I'll just look it up. But the other thing comes after his death and one of his daughters, and she would say that it was whilst Freddie's wife was pregnant with his daughter, he used to beat up his wife, and he would continue beating his wife up, or his partner up, long after the daughter was born, and she saw it with her own eyes. And again, I'm not going to name names, I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but like I said, I think it would be wrong if we didn't touch upon some of the darker sides of his life, because like I said, he was a human being, and you know, even though he was famous, and like I said, us as fans loved what we saw behind the screen, or on screen I should say, behind it all was a human being, you know, and he wasn't perfect by any means, and it'd be wrong for us to even think he was. But yeah, if you want to look at his personal life and delve a little bit deeper, by all means, it's out there, it's in the newspapers, it's online, you know, it is there. And like I said, this video today was just mailing myself and Vicky, whilst we're in Liverpool filming a completely separate story. We wanted to visit his final resting place and pay our respects, and this is what we're doing. Now, throughout his career, it was always seen to be on TV, and quite rightly, because he was such a funny guy. And towards the latter stages of his life and his career, you guys may have seen him round about 2011 on the TV show I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Now, from what I remember personally, I think he was only in that show for a couple of days before he had to withdraw due to health reasons. And his health would take a really bad battering towards the latter end of his life. You'll see him on news reports, and especially more so when the Operation U-Tree incident took place. And he put a lot of weight on, his weight had ballooned. You could see him struggling to walk, he was stuttering his words. He'd become a broken man, and I think again a lot of it was down to the actual allegations against him. And you know, a lot of sympathy, a lot of public sympathy came out, because again, people were throwing accusations at anybody that was involved with Jimmy Savile back in the day. Now, everybody that, or a lot of people that knew Jimmy Savile, they were all paedophiles, you know, and obviously Starr himself, he was tarred with that brush for a short period towards the end of his life. And for anybody to go through that and to be victimised wrongfully and to be stigmatised with that kind of thing must have been hard, or it must be hard, and it's more so for Freddie. And like I said, you see it in his body language, the way he speaks, the way he's shaking on camera when all the charges against him were dropped. His solicitor is outside with Freddie, outside his home, talking to the press about it. You see Freddie shaking.
And he clearly says, doesn't he, I'm not a paedophile. He
does. I mean, Freddie Starr, there's an article a few years, just before, I think it was just before or around about the time of the Operation U-Tree, and he talks about, obviously, sexual abuse of young children. And he says he can't stand paedophiles, he can't stand them. And you can see it in his face, he actually comes across so sincere with it. So that must be an awful, awful accusation to be placed at your door. And I personally don't think it's one he ever recovered fully from.
A shadow of the man millions used to watch on TV, Freddie Starr, now 71, seemed frail, shaken and bewildered today, standing with his lawyer after the case against him was dropped, a case that dragged on for 18 months.
We are very, very critical of the police. This investigation has taken far too long. It's had a huge impact on Freddie's health, a huge impact on his family. He's a man of good character, and today, after a very thorough investigation, that's been proven.
And from the man himself, there was just this message for the fans.
Thank you.
Freddie Starr was arrested in the wake of the Jimmy Savile revelations. The two appeared together on Clunk Click in the 1970s. 13 women made allegations against Starr, but prosecutors said there was insufficient evidence. They said one further complaint did have a realistic prospect of conviction, but wasn't in the public interest. Back in 2012, with his fiancée alongside him, Freddie Starr denied any wrongdoing.
There's one thing I hate, close to my heart, is paedophiles. I cannot stand them. Right, and to be accused like this is devastating.
A comedian, singer and impressionist, Freddie Starr was a huge star, made all the more famous, of course, by the headline, "Not True," that he ate a hamster. His lawyer says the priority now is to deal with his failing health before considering what they might do next about the legal process he's just been through. Peter Lane.
Now, sadly, it was in 2019 when Freddie Starr sadly passed away. He died a recluse, somewhat of a recluse, in his villa over in Spain. And he was found by his carer, who came along, and he found him. And again, I've read several reports, but some say he was found in the kitchen, some say he was found in the bathroom, some say he was found in the living room on the floor. Either way, unfortunately, Freddie Starr would pass away as a recluse, like I said, at his villa over in Spain. Now, because of all the legal bills that he was behind with, some say he had water bills, gas bills, he had taxes to pay in Spain. He had no money, there was no money left. And it was an undertaker from Sheffield, from all accounts, that would fund for Freddie's body to be brought back here to his hometown of Liverpool. Now, a service took place at the Prescott Parish Church, which isn't far from where we are today. The service took place there before Freddie's body will be brought to where we are today, here, at this cemetery. We're not going to give which cemetery away, which it is. But it's such a sad ending to what was an incredible career. From a young man going into the clubs in and around Liverpool, in Huyton, where he was born and brought up, to becoming world famous, to rubbing shoulders with the big stars, to having his own TV shows, singing, impressionists, acting. It's an incredible career. And after beginning life on the wrong path, you know, the abuse he suffered, to turn all that around from such a young age, and to having that willpower and that strength to keep on going and to make people laugh. It's an incredible story. So that is all from this fantastic location here in Liverpool. We do hope you've enjoyed this little video on the life of Freddie Starr. Certainly a character I now remember more, now I've researched a little bit more into his life. Because like I said, I used to watch all his shows, and Vicky did when we were young kids. We used to laugh at Freddie, laugh with Freddie I should say. And like I said, he passed away in 2019, and since then I don't think we've had anybody like him on TV, which is a shame. But tell us your thoughts down below and what you remember of Freddie. What are your fond memories of this special character? It will be interesting to know. Now, we're going to leave it here, like I said, at this fantastic looking cemetery, and we are going to make our way over to another location in Rainhill here in Liverpool. Keep your eyes out for that video. It's a little bit dark, it's what we normally do on this channel. But in the meantime, I want you to take care, look after yourselves, and we will be back soon with more tales from a dark, but at time, glorious past. Take care, everybody.
White man. White man. White man speak with forked tongue. Many buffalo. Many buffalo pass this way. White man lie. White man say peace on. Indians say. Indian great hunter. Indian always wear war paint. Yes, Indian great hunter. Stagecoach. Stagecoach passed here exactly 1.5 minutes ago. How do you know? It ran over my head. Indian go football match. He stand in crowd. Him want to wee-wee. His father drank 75 cups of tea. He was found dead in his own teepee. Indian at football match, stood in crowd. Hooligan, hooligan. Away the lad. Come on the blue. Oh, hi, blue day, blue day. Indian want to go for wee-wee. He turned to a fella next to him and he say, me want a wee-wee. We'll go for wee-wee. Fellow said, doing that fella as well, he's next to you. He said he'll feel it, won't he? He says, you didn't, did you?